All right, in this video, I'll be giving you a basic overview of how to use Clay.com. Now, I know a lot of people are curious about Clay, want to learn how to use Clay, but I do realize Clay can be a little bit intimidating at first. So in this video, I just want to show you that once you try it out, maybe watch a few tutorials and play around with Clay. It's really not as complicated as it seems. And once you do figure out how to use Clay, it's really going to take your outreach to the next level. So really worth learning how to use Clay. Now, first of all, what is Clay? Clay is basically a data enrichment and automation tool for building outbound campaigns. Right? You could use Clay to basically build a lead list from scratch, or import an existing lead list and enrich it with their data integrations. You could create custom integrations and personalizations using AI, or you could automate entire outbound workflows. For example, importing leads using triggers, automatically enriching those leads using Clay, and then sending those leads to an email campaign automatically. This is just an example of a few different types of things you can do in Clay. And really the big appeal of Clay is their huge library of integrations. Right? You have integrations with CRMs like HubSpot, Salesforce, with sequencers like Smart Lead or Instant Lead, and a bunch of different data tools. And most importantly, their integration with AI tools like OpenAI, right? So rather than using all of these tools individually in creating your outbound campaigns, you could basically aggregate them all together in Clay and have them all in one place. If you have access to these tools, you could basically just use your API keys within Clay. If you don't have access to these tools and you want them to use for one-time projects and whatnot, you could use Clay credits to do that, right? So just a few examples of kind of the types of things you do in Clay. Obviously, I'm not going to have time to cover everything in this video just because there's so many features within Clay, but just to give you a high-level overview. So let's dive in. So first thing, when you make a Clay account, you're going to have your workspace here. And the first thing you're going to want to do is import some data. So what you could do is create a new table here. And you could either start with a blank table, import existing data from a CSV, or use this find people and find companies feature to start building a lead list from scratch. So for the sake of this video, we're just going to do that. We're going to start by using find companies to build a list of accounts. So let's say for the sake of this video, we're going to be reaching out to investment banking companies with 11 to 200 employees. You just want privately held companies and partnerships. And we want companies based in New York. So let's say for the example of this video, let's say, if you want to limit the number of results to, let's say like 100 companies, you could put in a limit here. For the purpose of this video, we'll just see how many come up. Just give it a moment here. And here you'll have a preview of your initial lead list. So take a look at these descriptions, make sure that the types of companies that come up are actually relevant for you. And once you're satisfied with the initial preview, you could go ahead and import the companies to the table. It's going to give you an option if you want to add additional enrichments here. For the purpose of this video, we'll just do the basic profile here. Click continue for free. And it's going to import a list of accounts into this table. So here in the table, you're going to have columns for different fields here. And then you're also going to have some cells here with basically an array type of objects, which have different pieces of data within one cell. So for example, if this description column wasn't here, but you have the description in here and you want to add that as its own column, you could do that as well by clicking add as a column. So let's try that. And it looks like it's added here. I don't know why it just scrolled me to the right there, but as you can see, it just added that as a column. And here we basically have our basic list of accounts. Now let's see what kind of enrichments we could add in here. So what you're going to do is click this add enrichment button at the top right and take a look at just the different enrichments that Clay offers, right? You could go to this enrich company info section to look at company level enrichments. If you're working with a list of people, you can use this enrich people info. If you're already familiar with the different tools and want to just go directly and see what kind of integrations you could run there, you could go to this integration sections. And most powerfully, you could do a lot of custom enrichments using AI. So you could either use this use AI section or this template section, which gives you a lot of pre-built AI prompts that you could use, right? Some of these are built by Clay themselves. Others are built by the community, I believe, and you could also create your own custom templates here. So let's say for the purpose of this video, we want to use AI to create a custom integration. And let's say we want to only reach out to investment banks that specialize in tech M&A. So I'll just create a prompt here from scratch as an example. So once you click this use AI, you're going to first have to select the type of model that you want to use. So there's two different ones you could use, which is Claygent and then basically the basic model. Or actually, this is the use case here, which is Claygent has access to the internet. So if you want to scrape websites or search the internet for information, you're going to use this one called Claygent. And then if you're just manipulating existing information, like let's say if you have a description and then you want to categorize a company based on the description, you would use this option here. And in the model you select here. So these are different AI models that you could use. There's some within Clay called Clayagent. You could use like Anthropic. I mostly use OpenAI. So what I would recommend is actually creating an account with OpenAI and funding it, and then using a OpenAI API key so that you're not burning credits every time you're running enrichments in Clay. So I'm going to select the model here. And let's say, for example, we want to work with just investment banks that do tech and M&A, that specifically specialize in tech M&A. So let's write a prompt for that. So first, we're just going to give the prompt some context. Are a research analyst helping me research company investment banks for outbound campaigns. Banks we will be reaching out to for outbound campaigns. Based on the description, tell me if the company specifically specializes specifically for tech companies. Here is the description. And you just put in a slash here to insert the variable. Here we're going to insert the description. And what you can also do is, instead of running this prompt for all the rows and potentially just using a lot of OpenAI credits or Clay credits, you just run it for 10 rows here just to give it a little test. So actually what I realized I forgot is you want to tell the prompt what the output should look like, right? So in this case, I just want a true or false output. So let's add that into the prompt here. Return true or false and nothing else. So let's try that. If you don't do that, it's just going to give you a really long answer. Like if you use ChatGPT, you know what the answers kind of look like. So loading, let's give it a minute here. And now we just get a true or false for whether the company specializes in tech M&A. So let's take a look at this one, for example, Moreland Partners. And let's just take a look at the description to just verify the result. So specializes in M&A, advisor services, and technology and emerging growth sectors. So perfect. Looks like it's true. We can look at a false one to see what this one looks like. Titan Partners, formerly education growth advisor, leading provider that's making strategy consulting to the global knowledge sector. So looks like they specialize in the global knowledge sector, but not necessarily tech. So looks like we're accurate here, true or false. I would validate a few more, but just for the sake of this example, I think it's a pretty simple prompt. And once you're satisfied with the results, you could run all rows to just get the results for the entire data set that you're working with, right? So let's say we only want to reach out to tech M&A investment banks. So what we could do is basically add in this response here as a column. And once this runs, we could basically filter on this response for only true. So let's give it a moment here. And once that finishes running, you could basically filter on this column here to get just investment banks that specialize in tech M&A. So you could do response equals true. And now we have 31 companies here instead of this 260 or so that we had initially. So that's just one example of creating a custom integration. We could do another enrichment here, just another example. So let's say I want to find recent M&A deals that these companies worked on. So I actually prepared a template here in advance, and basically using the company's domain as an input, we're going to ask our AI to go to the website and find recent transaction that they worked on. So let's apply that template. We're just going to throw in the domain here as an input. Now let's say I only want this to run if this field that we created before equals true. That's going to ask you to basically write a formula here of when to run. If you don't know how to do that, basically what you'll do instead is use AI to write the formula for you, right? It makes it really simple. You could describe it in natural language. Let's say only run if this response that we got previously is true. And in some cases, when you put true, you might need to put it in quotes if it's not actually a Boolean. So here, just don't run here. What I'm going to do is unfilter just to show you here. And let's run this now let's first run it for 10 rows just to see what kind of results we get. As you can see, it's not going to run for the ones that are false, the companies that don't specialize in tech M&A. And then here we have a URL for a most recent M&A transaction for this company, right? Now we can actually take a look at these. You could actually scrape this and have your AI write a personalized line for you, like, hey, just came across your recent press release about the recent transaction with MG Group and Creador. Just an idea of kind of the personalizations you could create. So now that we have a list of companies, let's say we want to find people at these companies, find leads to actually reach out to. And let's go back here, put this filter back in. And basically now, if we just want to reach out to these companies and find the right people to reach out to at these companies, basically what we could do is go to actions here and find people at these companies. And now if you use like Apollo or SalesNav, this is similar to like the find people list building tools they have, right? Pretty similar concept. Here, you already have a list of companies inputted here. So we'll just go to job title. And let's say we want to reach out to CEO, founder, and any managing director at these companies. We could include levels here. We could do owner, partner, C-suite. So I don't want VP, I want director, head, maybe manager as well. You can also exclude job titles. I don't want analysts. I don't want associates. I don't want VPs. And you could add in some other variables here, but let's just keep it simple for the sake of this video. And now basically you have a list of people that we could actually reach out to at these companies. Again, take a look at this preview here. And once you're satisfied, you could import it to a new table. So once it's done that, it's going to create a new table here with a list of the contacts. And what this is doing here is actually referencing that other table. So if you pulled in any enrichments in the other table, you can actually pull it into this table as well. And the next feature I want to show you, one of the powerful features of Clay, is the email waterfall. So let's say we have this list of contacts and now we want to find emails for these contacts. This is actually really simple to do in Clay using a feature called the email waterfall. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to click 20 rows here for the sake of this example. So I'm not burning credits here. What we're going to do is find work email. And you're going to click this work email option. And basically what a waterfall is Clay using multiple data providers to find a piece of data that you're looking for. For example, in this email, you could use a bunch of different data providers to find emails, right? You could use Find Email, you could use LeadMagic, you could use Prospeo. And in this case, we're going to use all of them. Basically what it does is first, it's going to check Find Email. If it doesn't find it in Find Email, it's going to check LeadMagic. Then if it doesn't find it in LeadMagic, it's going to check it in Prospeo, and so on. So you could select which data providers you want to use in the waterfall. All of these have a credit cost here, right? So if you don't want to use People Data Lab because it's too expensive, you could remove it. If you have API keys, or like you already have a subscription with these, like for example, I have a Find Email account, you could use your own API key to avoid using Clay credits here. And in most cases, Find Email has the email coverage, so that's what we do. You put in the inputs here, right? LinkedIn profile, full name, company domain. You could select a validation provider. In this case, we're going to use Zero Bounds. And now let's try finding some emails. So we could do save and run 20 rows in this view. And basically what Clay will do here is create columns for these different data providers. It's going to first try Find Email, which actually has most of the coverage here, as I mentioned. Once it doesn't find it on Find Email, it's going to check LeadMagic. If it doesn't find it on LeadMagic, it's going to check Prospeo, and so on, right? So really powerful feature within Clay to get email contacts for any contact you want to reach out to, right? So that's pretty much it. Obviously, you could do the same type of enrichments at the people level, like using AI. You could use AI to help you with copywriting. But this is just a high-level overview, kind of to give you an idea of the type of stuff you could do in Clay. I'll be making more videos on potentially writing prompts, different enrichments you could do in Clay. But hopefully that was helpful. If you want to see anything specific, let me know. Yeah, thanks for watching.